Welcome, everyone, to another one of our online courses from the World Yoga Festival. And today we're delighted to be able to bring back Ram Vakkalanka. He has been a great supporter, a great friend of the festival, has attended on a number of occasions. And Shonali and I always say that if we run out of everything else, we can just run the entire festival with him. He's a very knowledgeable person. He's a Sanskrit scholar. He can recite more verses than I thought were actually written down. And he's another yoga specialist. Not only that, but when he first came to our home, he tuned both of my father's sitars that were lying dormant in our puja room, and they sound a lot better as a result of his handling. So he really knows a great deal, and when he comes to the festival, which I hope that he will do again this summer, he very kindly conducts the starting puja, where we dedicate for the wellness of everybody attending the festival. So really an enormous friend and an enormous knowledge source. And so we are very pleased that he's come back and he's going to take us through mudras. This is an area that's not really taught a great deal. It's quite rare. And so I thought that it would be worthwhile to make it available. Not everybody wants to know these things, but to those who do, Ram Vakkalanka is a superb person to explain them to us. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to him. Thank you very much indeed, Ramji, for coming. It's been great. I shall step back into the background, monitor the systems, and I'll look at chat lines. The chat window is open for questions and things like that. And Ramji will tell us how he wants to conduct a course, when he wants questions or not. And then this is expected to last approximately an hour and a half. And we'll just take it as we go. All over to you. Thank you very much indeed for coming along, Ramji.
Let's begin with the opening chant. So please make sure you are sitting straight. Bring your palms together near the heart. Please repeat after me. Om. 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 Sahana vavatu. Sahanau bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvi navadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Please continue to keep your eyes closed like that and continue to be in a meditative state, but you can relax your hands into your lap or over your knees, palms facing up. I'm going to do just a little bit more chanting. Please receive the sacred vibrations of the mantras with your entire being. Om Sadyo Jatam Prapadyami Sadyo Jataya Vai Namo Namaha Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavasvamam Bhavodbhavaya Namaha Vamadevaya Namo Jyesthaya Namah Sresthaya Namo Rudraya Namah Kalaya Namah Kalavikarnaya Namo Balavikarnaya Namo Balaya Namo Balapramathanaya Namah Sarvabhuta Damanaya Namo Manonmanaya Namaha Aghore Ebhyo Thagore Ebhyo Ghora Ghora Tarebhyaha सर्वेभ्यः सर्वशर्वेभ्यो नमस्ते अस्तु रुद्ररूपेभ्यः तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात् ईशानः सर्वविद्यानाम् ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपतिर्ब्रह्मणोऽधिपतिर्ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो नमो हिरण्यबाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अंबिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः ऋतगुं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् ऊर्ध्वरेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः सर्वो वै रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु पुरुषो वै रुद्रस्तन्महो नमो नमः विश्वं भूतं भुवनं चित्रं बहुधा जातं जायमानं च यत् सर्वो ह्येष रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु कद्रुद्राय प्रचेतसे मेढुष्टमाय तव्यसे व्योचेम शन्तमगुं हृदे सर्वो ह्येष रुद्रस्तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु ओम जातवेदसे सुनवाम सोममराति यतो निदहाति वेदः सनः पर्षदति दुर्गाणि विश्वा नावेव सिन्धुं दुरितात्यग्निः तामग्निवर्णां तपसा ज्वलन्तीं वैरोचनीं कर्मफलेषु जुष्टां दुर्गां देवीगुं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये सुतरसितरसे नमः अग्ने त्वं पारयानव्यो अस्मान् स्वस्तिभिरति दुर्गाणि विश्वा भूस्त पृथ्वी बहुलान उर्वी भवा तोकाय तनयाय शम्योः विश्वानिनो दुर्गः जातवेदः सिन्धुन्ननावा दुरितातिपर्षि अग्नेयत्रिवन्मनसा गृणानो अस्माकं बोध्यवितातनूनां कृतनाजितगुं सहमानमुग्रमग्निगुं भुवेम परमात् सहस्थात् सनः पर्षदति दुर्गाणि विश्वाक्षामद्देवोऽति दुरितात्यग्निः प्रत्नोषि कमिढ्यो अध्वरेषु सनाच्च होता नव्यस्य सत्सि स्वाञ्चा आग्ने तनुवं पिप्रय स्वास्मभ्यं च सवगमाय जस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयुजो निषिक्तं तवेन्द्र विष्णोरनुसञ्चरेम नाकस्य पृष्ठमभिसंवसानो वैष्णवीं लोकैहमादयन्तां कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गिः प्रचोदयात् ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरि विश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोष्ठोषि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ओम शांति शांति शांतिः. Thank you very much. You may open your eyes. So once again, my gratitude to World Yoga Festival, Sonali ji and Ram ji for having me here to teach Mudras workshop, and welcome to all of you also to this course on Mudras. As Ram ji has mentioned, Mudras continues to be somewhat of a less popular branch of knowledge in all the different branches of knowledge we have in the Indian philosophical and spiritual systems. There are some valid reasons for that. Firstly, the absence of one seminal text in this field is one of the reasons. So, for example, if we want to understand yoga, then we have a book, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, to fall back upon. Similarly, if we want to understand Vedanta, maybe we can start with Bhagavad Gita and then eventually go up to Brahma Sutras and eventually find our way to Upanishads. So there is this defined text which serve the important purpose of being the repositories of knowledge for different branches of spirituality in Indian system. With Mudras, fortunately or unfortunately, there is no one such source, especially since ancient times. So there is said to be hundreds and hundreds of Mudras in different spiritual practices of India. So for example, Bhakti Yoga has its own Mudras. Jnana Yoga or Vedanta has its own Mudras, including Chid Mudra. Similarly, Tantra has its own Mudras. Tantra in general is considered as the source of the sciences, the science of Mudra. But notwithstanding that, Sri Vidya has its own Mudras. So like this, there is no one definitive source text we can fall back upon for the purpose of getting a good introduction into Mudras. That could be one of the reasons that Mudras are not as popular, as Ramji has said, as many other branches of spiritual practices from India. But at the same time, mudras are very, very powerful practices, and they are powerful enough to stand on their own. Meaning, we can practice mudras alone in terms of cleansing our system, especially as part of the Hatha Yoga. And they are also flexible enough that we can combine them with other spiritual practices of Indian origin, such as meditation, mantra chanting, Vedantic thought. Okay, all of these things accommodate mudras to some degree or the other, to some extent or the other. So that is one of the great things about practice of mudra, that it can be practiced on its own, as well as it can be combined with any other form of spiritual practice that you may be currently carrying on. So that's the greatness. That's the versatility of the mudra and mudras practice. So we are going to go into mudras, and I do intend to teach you different categories of mudras during this course of 3 workshops. Mudras can be used purely for therapeutic purpose also, not only for spiritual purposes, but also purely for therapeutic purposes. So I will be covering in these 3 sessions some mudras which are more related to spiritual practices, and some which are purely therapeutic in terms of having a healing impact on various health issues, both physical as well as mental. And if time permits, we will also look at some healing mudras that are beneficial to everybody. Some mudras which are specifically applicable to women and women-related issues also we will learn in this. Okay, so this is broadly the agenda for our course. But before we jump into the mudras, maybe it's a good idea for us to have a round of self-introductions. Ramji has kindly introduced me already. But once again, my name is Ram Vakkalanka. I was born and brought up in India, but I lived and traveled through many countries. And recently, I've been living in Canada since more than 20 years now. And I have been a teacher at the World Yoga Festival since a few years. Last year, because of COVID, or this year rather, 2021, I couldn't come to teach because of COVID and COVID restrictions. But I do hope to be there back at the World Yoga Festival in 2022, and hopefully can see many of you, if not all of you, in person. Okay. If you would like to learn more about me, you can visit my website, ramvakkalanka.com. But briefly, I'm a Sanskrit expert. I teach workshops on Sanskrit language. I'm also a Nada yogi and teach Indian music, raga music, and several different instruments also, including singing. And I'm also a meditation instructor. So that's briefly about me. Maybe we can go around the virtual room that we are in and give us your self-introduction, your name and where you are from, or where you are right now. And if you have any degree of familiarity with the mudras. Okay? There is no need to have any degree of familiarity. That's not a prerequisite. But I just would like to know if you already have any degree of familiarity with mudras. That will help me shape the content appropriately. Okay? That's the only reason I'm asking this. Okay. I'm just going to go and call out the names in the order they are on my screen, if that's all okay with you. Okay. So Ramji, of course, needs no introduction to all of us. So we'll skip him. And Jyoti.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, hi. My name is Jyoti. This is my first yoga festival meeting. I'm based in UK, London, and I have very limited knowledge on mudras. Know briefly like what they are, but yeah, as I mentioned, very brief knowledge.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Is it okay, Jyoti, for you to keep the video on? Because especially when we start practicing mudras, I need to make sure that you are holding the mudra properly and would be able to give you feedback. If the video is off, then it's kind of tricky for me to do that. I may have to use my yogic powers, but I would rather not use it.
Will do. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Nalini.
Hi, yes, Nalini. I live in the UK as well, near Manchester, and I'm familiar with mudras, just a small amount, really. That's all I can say, really. So I'm
All
looking
right.
forward to the course. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I'm based in a small village just south of Oxford, in the UK. I have a little bit of knowledge of mudras, but I'm really keen to learn more today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Ren Matthews, am I saying that correctly? Yeah.
Namaste. I'm from the US, but currently based in Dubai, UAE.
Okay.
And I'm same like Suzanne said, I also know fair amount. I mean, basic knowledge of mudras, but not a lot. So, if you talk about the Anjali Mudra, Vishnu Mudra, Gyan Mudra, which is the active and non-active. So, but again, basic, but not in detail, but look forward to learning more.
And you are joining us from UAE right now?
Yes.
Okay. So you're in a different time zone. All right.
Yes, it's now 3:45 in the evening. For you, it's 11:45. Yeah. Thank you.
Jude Bell. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jude Bell. I live near Reading in the UK.
Okay.
I was taught some yoga mudra in yoga teacher training, and at the World Yoga Festival I've actually been to one of your classes on mudra, and I also have a book on mudras by another Swami, so I use a lot of mudras in teaching.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pika Rupan, am I saying that correctly?
Oh, sorry, was that me?
Yeah, I think your microphone is still muted. Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
You want me to say something?
Did I say that? First of all, did I say your name correctly?
Okay, my name is Rupan Bika. I'm normally originally from Mauritius, but I'm settled in Reading. And we've been practicing yoga Patanjali for a good while. And we've been using mudra. Been learning. I'm not so familiar with mudra. The only mudra I know is about the Gyan mudra, which we use normally. And I'm looking forward to learn more about the mudra, which is very interesting, very therapeutic. And I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Nadia?
Oh, hello. I'm Nadia. I'm in Reading. And I'm very new to mudras. So I'm looking forward to everything.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Tim?
Hi, I'm Tim. I live between Reading and Oxford in a little village just south of Suzanne's little village, just south of Oxford. I'm a yoga teacher and a student, a Vedanta student of Ram's. In my teacher training, I did some mudra stuff, but my main interest in this has been coming from, particularly in the 1990s, I studied a lot of chirology or hand reading within a Buddhist framework, looking at lines, hand shape, fingerprints and stuff. What I'm going to have to get over is that applied the different elements to different fingers in it. So I'm going to have to relearn a lot of what I did before, but there's also a bit of interest in just sort of comparative analysis between the two systems.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Right. So once again, as I mentioned earlier, there are hundreds and hundreds of mudras. In fact, there is no definitive number as to how many mudras exist. And also, there seem to be different traditions of mudras also, similar. So mudras do look similar from when practiced from one tradition to another. but they may slightly change. Okay, so especially in the Sri Vidya tradition as well as Bhakti Yoga tradition, we see this kind of variations of the mudras. So I would like to ask you to respect the differences in the mudras. If you know some mudra or mudras, and you have been practicing them in one particular way, and I happen to show them in a different way or slightly alternative way, please excuse that as a difference and accept it. But of course, which one you want to practice is of course up to you, right? Which tradition you would like to practice, which style, etc. A couple of things also from a practical level. One of the things is that please make sure that you remain kind to your body as you practice these mudras. Okay? Anybody has any physical limitations that might cause them issues when practicing mudras, such as arthritis, any kind of arthritis or joint related issues? Anybody has any of them? Okay, all right. In any case, I'm going to show you some warm-ups before we practice the mudras actually. So it's a good idea for you to learn this warm-up for your fingers, okay? So that even if you have some issues, you will be able to develop the necessary flexibility to practice these mudras in a healthy way, okay? And also, some of the mudras, if they are a little bit advanced to you or complicated, etc., once again, please be kind to yourself. Okay, don't push yourself into doing those mudras. So always bear this in mind whenever you are practicing the mudras. Okay, many of you have said you have very little knowledge of mudras. So we'll begin with like really simple mudras, which involve maybe 1 or 2 fingers only, and then eventually we will go into using the wrist also, a little bit at intermediate and maybe 1 or 2 advanced mudras. Okay. But at the same time, as I said, please always be mindful of your own limitations and please be kind to your own body and what it is, listen to what it's saying to you. And would advise that you don't push yourself in this practice. Everybody good so far? Okay. So what is a mudra? Let us begin there. Okay. Mudra is defined as that which removes pain and sorrow. Okay. Earlier, when I was joined you, Ramji was talking about karma, right? He was talking to you about prarabdha karma and so on. So, modayanti devanam, okay? Dravanat papa santate, papa, punya and papa. He was discussing about punya and papa, right? So that word papa figures in mudras also. Dravanat papa santate, meaning because this is mudra is something that melts down the papa, meaning something that reduces the negative karma that we have made. See, at the end of the day, karma resides within us as karmic impulses. Okay? That is the not physical, but the existential form of karma. So those are all impulses that are staying within us. In yogic terminology, these papa or negative karmic impulses, they exist within our Vijnanamaya kosha. Some of you may have studied about koshas, right? The 5 koshas in the yogic system. So it's the Vijnanamaya kosha which acts as the storehouse of our karma. Good karma, bad karma, everything. Punya, papa, etc. And they reside in the Vijnanamaya kosha. In a manner of speech, it's not like they're physical things, but they reside in the Vijnanamaya kosha as impulses. So when we are practicing mudras, this serves the important purpose of melting them down. Literally, that is what the word means. Meaning what? It reduces the impact of the negative karmic impulses we have. Okay. Modanat devanam dravanat papa sandate. Devas means cosmic energies, constructive energies of the universe. So when we practice the mudras, we invoke the constructive, the positive energies of the universe into us. Okay? And the second impact of the second practice, the second reason for practicing the mudras is dravanat papa santate. It melts down our negative impulses. It removes the negative karmic impulses within us. So because of these 2 reasons, It is called mudra. Mudra. So that is the basic understanding of mudra. Now, a lot of times, mudra, the word mudra is also interpreted as creating energy or sealing the energy in, etc. The Sanskrit word mudra has other applications also, like for example, official seals that some people put. That is also called as a mudra. So Raja Mudra means the official seal of the government, of the king. Okay, so that is a different application of the word mudra. But from the viewpoint of a spiritual discipline or a spiritual practice, that which pleases the cosmic energies, enhances the positive vibrations within us, and that which reduces the negative energies, papa santati, that is what is called as a mudra. Okay? So this is obviously these are the reasons why we should practice mudras. But from a simpler viewpoint, mudras can be described as psychic, emotional, devotional, as well as aesthetic gestures or attitudes. So it is not merely about a gesture. It is about an attitude that accompanies the gesture. That is the important thing about mudras. Otherwise, it is just a meaningless gesture, right? Like, for example, I'm not sure about UK, but in America, let us say I'm driving on the highway and somebody cuts me off rudely, right? We show a mudra. Do you do that in UK too? Yeah, exactly. That's a mudra. That's a hand gesture accompanied by a certain attitude, right? That we are upset with the way the other person is driving on the highway, causing inconvenience and possibly, God forbid, accidents to people, right? So there is mudras in the West too, you know, they just don't know the Sanskrit words, but there are mudras that are originated in the West also. So the idea is that we always accompany an attitude with an expression through our hands. Okay, hands are a very important part of our karmendriyas. Okay? So a lot of times mudras end up being understood as hand gestures, but we will understand later on that not all mudras are hand gestures. Okay, but anyway, these are the 4 dimensions that mudra has. First thing is it is a psychic thing, meaning what? It's a spiritual thing. Okay? Mudras impact us at a spiritual level. How? By acting upon the karma. Second thing is emotional. They also carry certain emotion, especially the mudras that are used in Bhakti Yoga tradition, in sacred ceremonies such as pujas and homas, etc. They carry a lot of emotional impact. And we will also learn later on some mudras which will have therapeutic impact on our negative emotions such as depression and so on. Okay? Third thing is they are also devotional, used in Bhakti Yoga ceremonies such as pujas or even tantric ceremonies also carry a devotional element with them. Lastly, they also have an aesthetic angle to them. In many of Indian art forms, mudras are employed. So Indian classical dance, for example. Okay? I'm not sure how many of you have seen Indian classical dance performances, but they use very, very extensively many mudras in presenting the dances. Similarly, Shilpa. Shilpa means sculpture. So Indian sculptures, if you go to India and look at the temples, the ancient temples of India, there's a lot of beautiful sculptures on the walls of those temples showing different kinds of mudras. Okay? So like this, there's a lot of aesthetic sense also beyond the practice of mudras. In fact, this is one of the things that we always stress when we teach mudras. Always make sure that the mudras that you hold are very elegant and they look very aesthetic. Okay? So this is one of the things that goes with mudras. Basically, mudras are subtle physical movements that have the ability to alter our moods. Okay? To alter our moods as well as attitudes as well as perception. And they also will deepen the awareness and concentration levels of our practitioner. This is one of the very important things about mudra. Concentration level. How mindful we are, how focused we are. So especially in Tantra, mudras are used for the important purpose of enhancing our concentration levels. You know, focusing our energies on certain gestures, etc. Mudras, as I mentioned earlier, have originated from the Vedic literature. Everybody's familiar with Vedas? Yeah, most of you. I mean, I know you. So a lot of you seem to be experts in Vedanta, so you must know Vedas also. So Vedas are the source of origin for mudras. Ren, do you have a question? No? Okay. Sorry, I just got a message on my Zoom saying that I am going to raise my hand. I don't know why I am going to raise my hand. But
I was just making a note.
Okay. If it does that, please ignore that. Okay. But lot more mudras are developed and used, employed in Tantra. So same mudras can also be practiced differently in the Vedic tradition as well as in the Tantric tradition. When we come to the actual mudras, Bhakti Yoga mudras, I will show you how they are practiced in the Vedic tradition and how the same thing is practiced in the Tantric tradition also. Even if it's only for academic interest, at least it widens your knowledge that the same mudra can be practiced differently in different traditions. Okay, and Tantra, many of you may know, basically Tantra went into Buddhism after Buddha's passing away, and it became a different school of Buddhism known as Vajrayana school of Buddhism. So this Vajrayana school, obviously having elements of Tantra, also has incorporated and absorbed a lot of mudras from the Tantric tradition. Mandalas, yantras, okay, all of these concepts have gone into Buddhism, especially Vajrayana school of Buddhism from Tantric practices. Okay, so Jainism, which is another religion like Buddhism, that also has many mudras. So like this, mudras have become very popular in many Eastern philosophies. Okay? So as I mentioned, all of this adds a lot of dimension and complexity to the practice of mudras. So I will do, what we will do is we'll try to keep it very simple. Okay, won't go into the complexities of it, although I might demonstrate once in a while, the same mudra in different traditions, just for your academic knowledge and also widening your knowledge, so you are aware that okay, same mudra can be shown differently in different traditions. Okay. Another one thing that I briefly mentioned earlier is how many mudras are there? This is one question that I always get from participants. How many mudras are there in total? How many can we learn? It's kind of like asking how many yogasanas are there. Anybody knows how many yoga postures are there? Any guess?
84, original 84 asanas.
Okay. Anything else? There is an ancient text known as Yoga Taravali, written by Adi Shankaracharya, a great man like known as Adi Shankaracharya. Of course, those of you who study Vedanta must know Adi Shankara. So Adi Shankara stated that there is 125,000 yoga postures. Okay? 125,000 yoga postures. Of course, different texts claim different number as the original asanas and so on. But it's mudras also kind of same thing. There is no telling as to how many mudras are there, especially with variations and traditions and so on. But there are some specific texts which have given specific number of mudras for us. For example, there is a text called Hatha Yoga Pratipika. Those of you who practice Hatha Yoga, they gave us 10 mudras. Similarly, there is another text known as Shiva Samhita, which is also a yogic text. And that text gives us 11 mudras. Raja Yoga, meaning Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, gave us 7. There is another text known as Heranda Samhita that gave us 25. So like this, different texts gave like specific mudras. And when it comes to art forms of India, there is a text known as Abhinaya Darpana that has given us 28 mudras. So mostly I won't go into the artistic mudras in this session. As I said earlier, I'm going to focus more on yogic tradition and spiritual aspect of the mudras. And I will also add therapeutic aspect of the mudras and show you some therapeutic mudras also. So mostly we'll focus on and practice spiritual or yogic and therapeutic mudras. Okay, I won't go into the aesthetic aspects. Everyone okay so far? Any questions? By the way, Ramji has brought up one point that I should address. You don't need to save your questions to ask towards the end of the session or something like that. Okay. The best time to ask a question is as and when it pops up in your mind. Okay, that is also a good way because it keeps the session more interactive, which is the way I like to keep it rather than a lecture form of session. Right? I do some lecture demonstrations, etc. But this session, I think it will be better if we keep them more interactive. Meaning, anytime you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay? In fact, if you stay unmuted throughout the session also, I am okay as long as there are no background noises and stuff like that. I am actually in India right now as I'm teaching you, and India is definitely one of the most noisy countries. So please excuse me if there's a lot of traffic noises and stuff like that in the background. So once again, unless there is a lot of background noise, I'm happy if you keep yourselves unmuted and ask questions as and when we go through certain things. Everybody okay?
Yes.
And also, normally these are supposed to be 90-minute sessions. Today I will ask some time because of the internet challenges that I was having. So is it okay if we go a little bit above the closing time?
Yeah.
Or would I be messing up anybody's dinner plans or lunch plans or romantic birthday outings?
I'll have
Jyoti,
to.
yeah?
Well, yeah.
You have to go? Okay. I mean, the session is being recorded, so maybe I'm sure Ramji will send those things out. So hopefully you can watch the last 10 minutes or whatever you lose and catch up with us. Is that okay, Jyoti?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. I appreciate your patience. Okay. One other thing, let us understand about mudras, because this is a very popular misconception about mudras that many people have. The misconception is that mudras are hand gestures. That is not necessarily so. Okay. There are many ways of practicing mudras with different limbs of our body. Okay. So there are some mudras which are practiced with the entire body. These are known as Kaya mudras. Maybe I can type this up for you. You know what? I'm actually going to send some course material to Ramji, and hopefully they can forward it to you. Okay, because this is I would like these sessions to be very hands-on sessions. So rather than focusing on and worrying about taking notes and especially the Sanskrit words, I would rather have you look at me and do more practice. Okay, so the theoretical aspects I can always send them as course material to all of you through Ramji. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, all right.
Ram, can I just ask a quick question? When you talk about invoking the positive energies of the universe, is that related to prana?
Absolutely, because it is through our pranamaya kosha or pranic energy that we connect with the energies of the universe. Okay. Now the idea is that pranamaya kosha or prana is like the bridge, the essential bridge between the physical aspect of our existence and all the subtle layers of existence, such as manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha. So that being the case, whether it is positive karma or negative karma, at the end of the day, it always has to flow through the prana. And through the prana, it percolates to physical level, where we experience the karma as either as pain or as pleasure. Okay, hope that helps.
Thank you.
Yeah. So always prana is the bridge. Okay, expression takes place in most of the cases through prana. Okay, so first category of mudras are Kaya mudras. Kaya mudra means mudras we practice with the entire body. Okay, so some examples are those of you who do yoga especially may know this. It is called Viparita Karani. Heard this word? Heard this expression? Viparita Karani is basically you place your legs, you raise your legs and place them against a wall. So the body is supine, body is flat on the ground, but the legs are elevated and they are supported by the wall or something like that. You know. So this is actually a mudra. It is also an asana, but it's also considered as a mudra. And this is called as This is one of the categories of mudras known as Kaya mudras, the mudras that you practice with your entire body. In fact, hands have not much of an active role in the practice of Viparita Karani. They are just lying next to your body, next to your torso. Other than that, we don't do anything specific with the hands in Viparita Karani. Okay. Next one, which is the most popular category of mudras, is Hasta Mudra or Kara Mudras. Again, I'm going to send these notes to you, so don't worry too much about writing these words down, especially the Sanskrit ones. Okay. So these are the mudras that we practice only with our hands. And these are the ones that are generally very, very popular among yoga practitioners all over the world. So many people actually think that mudras means hand gestures. That's how popular these are. Okay. Next, there are some mudras, very interesting mudras, which are practiced with the eyes. These are known as Chakshu mudras. Okay. Shambhavi mudra, Unmani mudra, Bhuchari mudra. These are some examples of the mudras that we practice with our eyes. I'm going to make you practice these things also, at least some of them. But first, I would like to just explain some of these as theoretical aspects of mudras. Okay. Next one is Shiro mudras, some mudras which are practiced with our head. Next one, again, very important and very powerful ones are Mano mudras. Mano mudras means mudras practiced with our mind. Okay. Nasagra drishti, meaning looking at the root of the nose. Okay. Basically, the third eye kind of thing, third eye region kind of thing. This is one of the examples of Mano mudras. Similarly, Khechari mudra. Khechari mudra can be a little bit complicated for us to practice, but that is one of them. Okay. Shanmukhi mudra, which we will practice eventually. This is also about influencing the mind directly. Okay. Impacting the mind and developing focus of the mind, etc. So this is one way, one of the mudras. So this is one way of looking at the mudras, meaning which part of our body or mind or which part of our system basically that we use for the practice of mudras. Now, there is another way of classifying the various mudras that we have that is more based on the application of the mudras. So far we looked at all of these things based on which part of our system we use. Do we use our hands? Do we use our entire body? Do we use only our eyes and so on? But now, based on the application, there is a different way of understanding the mudras. There are some mudras which are considered as basic mudras. These are called Adhara mudras, meaning fundamental, simple mudras. Some of you have mentioned Anjali mudra, okay, or also known as Pranama mudra. Okay, these are very, very basic mudras. These are called Adhara mudras. Then there are Chikitsa mudras, mudras which are used in treatment. Treatment of various ailments, physical as well as mental. These are some of these things also we will learn later on once we jump into the practice of mudras. Then there are what are called yoga mudras, which we incorporate or combine mostly with practice of yoga postures. Okay? Yoga mudras. Pranayama mudras, okay? Mudras that we employ during pranayama. Okay? Vishnu mudra, somebody mentioned Vishnu mudra earlier. Okay? So that's one example of pranayama mudras. Then there are dhyana mudras. Dhyana mudras means mudras that we use during the practice of meditation. Okay? Dhyana mudras. Then there are puja mudras. These are the mudras that come to us from Bhakti Yoga tradition. By the way, everybody knows what is a puja? Yeah? Some of you? Okay. Briefly, puja is a Bhakti Yoga ceremony in which you invoke the energies of some deity or the other, maybe Ganesha, maybe Shiva, Vishnu, whoever, and then you offer hospitality services. So puja is basically a technique of meditation. It is kinesthetic technique of meditation, kinetic technique of meditation, which involves pranayama, practice of mudras, mantra chanting, meditation, of course, and all of these things. The word puja is also very, very interesting word. It is basically an acronym. There are two words in Sanskrit, Purna, Jagruti. Purna means complete. Jagruti means awakening. Okay? Purna, Jagruti. So if you extract the first sounds of these two words and combine them, then you get the acronym Puja, Purna Jagruti. So Purna Puja is basically a kinetic form of meditation, kinetic technique of meditation that leads to complete awakening of the divine energies within us. That is the idea. Next category are Adhyatmika Mudras. In Vedanta, we have Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, right? There are some specific mudras that are given to us to be used during Manana process, during the Manana stage of Vedantic practice. So these mudras are known as Adhyatmika Mudras. Next one, Bandha Mudras. Those who practice yoga postures again might know bandhas, right? We have Jalandhara Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Moola Bandha, etc. These are also, apart from being considered as bandhas, these are also considered as mudras. Okay? Again, performing with different parts of the body. Then there are mudras for chakras also. Okay? Chakras are very popular these days. So everybody knows chakras, the energy centers in the body, right? Okay, good. So there are specific mudras for chakras also. Again, there are variations in these mudras from teacher to teacher I've seen. But anyway, so those are chakra mudras. So like this, based on the application, there are many different ways of looking at the mudras. Okay. Any questions so far? Everything okay? Okay. All right. Now, getting into practical aspects of the mudras. How to practice mudras. Okay? As I mentioned earlier, there are, broadly speaking, there are two ways of practicing mudras. Mudras can be practiced alone, on their own. Okay? So I will actually teach you a sequence, how to build a sequence, okay, of mudra practice for yourself, so that daily you can have a practice of mudras, maybe for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, of course, the length of time is up to you. But I'll teach you some of the sequences that you can practice on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so and you can practice them on their own. Okay, all by themselves. Second thing is mudras can be effectively combined with other practices, whether they are yoga postures, whether it is pranayama, whether it is meditation, whatever other practice you like, you do frequently. How to incorporate mudras also with that? How to combine mudras also with that practice? Okay. These are the two ways of practicing mudras. Mudras have a lot of benefits. Sorry, is there anybody trying to speak? Anybody trying to say anything? No, right? Okay. Right. So mudras, first thing is they work on our pranamaya kosha. They increase our lung power. They increase our capacity through awareness and discipline of breath. Very, very good for pranic healing methodologies. Okay, they also activate and energize our nerves and rejuvenate the mind. Minds, mudras, especially dasha mudras that are used in Sri Vidya, very, very powerful ones. You just practice 10 mudras and somehow you feel a lot more alive all of a sudden, as if you have done 1.5 hours of yoga session or something like that. Okay. They also serve the purpose of magnetizing your being. Okay? Because of the energy movements that you are making, etc. They enhance your vitality and also immunity. In fact, I will teach you some specific mudras which have a very beneficial impact on your immunity specifically, especially because of the COVID and other things that are going around. Many people have been focusing on improving their immunity level. So how to do that? Through mudras also. We will share some of those things later on. Okay? Sometimes, in the case of some people, mudras also confer psychic powers upon them, meaning they increase their intuition level. Everybody knows what intuition is. Hope I'm saying the word correctly. Okay, so mudras serve the important purpose of increasing our intuition. This is very important, especially in modern times, because in modern times we are almost losing our intuitive ability. Why? Because we are constantly intellectually stimulated. Okay? We are always forced almost to think rationally, logically, and so analytically, etc. And it comes at the cost of intuitive ability. So especially these mudras which are likely to confer psychic powers on oneself, on the practitioner, it is a good idea for you to learn from a guru rather than learning them and practicing them from based on a book or YouTube video and stuff like that. Okay, everybody good so far?
Yes.
So as I said, most of the time we will be focusing predominantly on hasta mudras or kara mudras, mudras that we practice with hands. Okay, those of you who do yoga would be automatically practicing bandha mudras such as mula bandha, uddiyana bandha, etc., and also kaya mudras such as viparita karani. I probably won't go into those things in these sessions. Better to practice them in yoga sessions. But in this session, we'll practice mostly about the kara mudras or hasta mudras, mudras of the hand. Okay, some simple guidelines for you before we jump into the practice. Kara mudras can be practiced while seated or standing or walking or even lying down. But the risk with lying down is that we might slowly go into sleep. So it's a good idea to avoid practices while lying down. But I have seen some bedridden people practicing mudras and slowly healing themselves to that. So that's why I just want to mention that as a possibility. But of course, the best way is always to sit straight and practice. Okay. Now, ideally, the body posture should be symmetrical, meaning when you sit also, make sure that the body weight is equally distributed on both the hip bones. Okay. So if you have a cushion or whatever, that is fine. But make sure that the weight of the body is evenly distributed between both the hip bones, rather than reclining to one side or the other like that. Okay. You can also be seated on a chair. Looks like some of you are seated on chairs or sofas, and some are on the ground. Like Jyoti seems to be on the floor. I myself am on the floor. Some of you seem to be in chairs, and that's okay. But always make sure that your back is still straight. Okay. If your chair has some way to keep you straight, then please use that facility on that. Okay, and also it's a good idea for you to make sure that your feet are grounded; they are touching the ground fully. If you are seated on a sofa or a chair or what have you, make sure that your feet are firmly planted on the ground. It's okay. If you are on the floor like myself or Jyoti seems to be, then it's okay to fold the legs either in a cross-legged. It's okay to sit in a cross-legged posture, sukhasana, or lotus posture, or siddhasana, etc. But if you're on the chair, please make sure that you plant your feet firmly on the ground. Okay. And if you need some support on the back, doesn't matter where you are seated, whether it's a chair or whether it's on the ground. If you need some support in the back, please do so. Okay. And also going forward, if you want to practice mudras while walking, make sure that you are walking in a slow, even, rhythmic manner. Okay. So the focus, so you shouldn't be walking too fast and try to combine mudra practice with some fast walking. I won't recommend that. Okay. So walking slowly and even pace, that is very important for you. Okay. So any of these things can be okay. Shoulders and face, always make sure that they are relaxed. Okay? Shoulders and face should be always relaxed. Chin back a little bit. Okay, and we are not going to specifically focus on breathing during these things, but make sure that your breath is going a little bit evenly and gently. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions so far? So today we will learn some warm-up exercises that we will practice before doing any mudra practice, okay, any mudra session. Okay? So we will start with very simple warm-up sessions for our hands, for our fingers. Okay? Can I see everybody's palms? That's good. Now try and bring your index and thumb together of the right hand. I mean, if you are a left-hander and you want to do it with left hand, that's fine by me. But I'm just going to give instructions, assuming that most of you are right-handers. Okay. First warm-up we do. This is the web of the fingers. That's flesh, that's skin between two fingers. So let's begin by warming them up. So first I'm going to begin by massaging gently the web between the thumb and index finger of the left palm. Okay, very slow. So this, it's not a hardcore thigh massage, very gentle massage. Okay, you're just getting some blood flow there and bringing some awareness also to these parts of your body. Okay, so very gentle. Next, the web between the index and the middle finger. Doesn't matter, you can do it this way also. Okay. Next one, okay, between middle and ring finger, very gently and in a circular way. Okay, circular way, not up and down, circular way. I don't know if you can see in the video or not, but I'm moving my fingers in a circular way. Next one, between the ring finger and the pinky. Now do the same thing with the left palm. So you can begin with this. Okay. So palms are both turned towards you. Okay. Next one. Again, I'm doing it as, I don't know if I can show this clearly. I'm doing it in a circular fashion. Okay. Hopefully you can see my index finger making circles. I'm not going up and down like this. Okay, circular fashion. Same thing. Let me remove the ring. Okay. Same thing. Last one. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take, bring these four fingers together of the right hand. Okay. And I'm going to slightly massage and rub them on the four fingers of the left palm. By the way, this is a good way to prevent graying of the hairs.
It's a bit late.
Now with the left palm, same thing on the right. Okay. If those rings are, if many of you seem to have rings just like me, if they are causing any issues, please feel free to remove the rings. Okay, rings on your fingers. Right now it's okay, but some of the mudras when you practice, those rings may hurt. Okay. Now bring the palms together. Okay. Maybe let me show you this way. So using my right thumb, I'm going to press my left thumb, okay, kind of like pushing it back. Okay, so I'm not using the entire arm or even the entire palm. I'm using only my thumb to push the other thumb back, okay, to stretch it. Then I'm going to use my right index finger to push the left index finger. Again, see, I'm not doing any wrist level things. Okay, only finger level right now. We'll do the wrist later. Okay, so just this finger pushing that finger back. Same thing with the middle fingers. Okay, I'm using my right middle finger to push the left middle finger back. Now, this is not a race. It's not about how fast you can do. Okay, and again, don't push too far back and don't break your own fingers. Okay, be gentle to your joints. No movement from the wrist, only from the finger. Do the same thing with the ring fingers. Right ring finger pushing the left ring finger back. Okay. Now the last ones, the pinkies. Suzanne, it's fun, right? Okay. Now we do the reverse. So with the left thumb, I'm going to push the right thumb back. Maybe I should change like this. Okay. No wrist. See, I'm not moving my wrist. Only the fingers. Indexes. Okay. Middle. At one time, actually, I could get my index finger back to touch the wrist. I don't think I can do that now. Okay. Then the ring fingers. Pinky. Everybody good? Okay. Can we all interlace the fingers? Just press your palms together and release. Press, release. Press, release. Press, release. Very good. Right. Now again, come back to this posture. Okay. Now using your wrist, entire left palm pressing the entire right palm as far as you can comfortably go. Don't move the hands. Don't move the hands. Okay, it is not like this. Hands are straight. Hands are not moving. Don't raise the elbows. There's no need to raise the elbows. Okay. Similarly, okay. Now right palm pushing the left palm as far as it can go. Good. Now let's interlace this way. This is actually a very powerful mudra in the Sri Vidya tradition. Okay. The thumbs over the top of these fingers. Okay. It's called Sarva Vashikarana Mudra. Very powerful mudra in Sri Vidya, you learn. Okay. Again, press a little bit, relax. Press, relax. Press, relax. Okay. Now try and turn this. This is called as actually Avahana Mudra in the Tantric tradition. So you do 3 times clockwise. Slowly, this is not a race. There is no need for speed here. Okay. Now anti-clockwise. When there is no need to move all your forearm, etc. They are straight. Only the movement is only coming from the wrist. Don't move the forearms. Can you connect these two, please? Yeah, good. Okay. We're doing anti-clockwise, right? Okay. Now we'll do one more interlacing. Can you all do this? You touch your wrists. Okay. Now press them against each other. Again, be gentle to yourself. How many of you know the peacock pose in yoga? Okay, only one. Okay, then maybe we better skip this one. Because I wanted to show you one other warm-up that kind of resembles the peacock pose. It's okay then, thank you. Okay, but maybe we'll skip that one for now. Okay. So these are some warm-ups that we have practiced, and we'll be doing these regularly. Okay, before we undertake mudra practice. I think we are almost at the end of our session now, right? Any questions, things that we have learned so far? Everybody okay?
Yes.
Ramji, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So I think we will wrap up here for today.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll go into maybe more mudras next session afterwards, after this warm-up. We begin with warm-up next time, and then we'll go into the practice of mudras.
So what do you want them to practice during the week?
All of these hand massages, making sure that they are flexible in their joints. Okay, they are warmed up in their joints. In fact, before you start the session, if you can practice this for a few minutes, then you will be already warmed up. That will be actually better.
Okay, you've got your homework.
Yeah. Also, Ramji, I will forward you some material about the teachings that I have done today, some of the theoretical aspects of the mudras. If you could kindly forward them to all the participants, that would be great.
I will do. And this session, the recording of it, I'll edit it and make sure that it's then available to all of those people who have participated. Then you can look at the exercises again, but carry on with your hand massages. They're good for you. All right. So, all right. Any final questions from anyone while Ramji's here? No? Nothing on the chat box? Okay. So thank you very much indeed, Ramji. That was lovely. A good start. A little theoretical knowledge, and then starting off massaging ourselves, ready to heal ourselves and do all these wonderful mudras, and goodness knows they might be dancing by the time that you get your next session. So you never know. Right. Thank you very much indeed. So next week at the same time, 11 o'clock UK time on Saturday. Apologies for any of the internet situation, but that's just the way it is. It's very, very difficult to have somebody of Ramji's caliber. There's nobody really in the West that we could have gone to. So we had to trap him wherever he was, and he happened to be in India, and that's where we got hold of him. So thank you very much indeed. Right. Bye-bye, everyone.